Studio Ghibli. I think I can speak for a lot of people in saying that this studio has kind of influenced a lot of our childhoods in numerous ways. I mean, I basically have Totoro burned into my brain at this point from watching it so much as a child. In fact, I can perfectly picture that one scene where Mei gets swarmed by all of the little dust bunnies after curiously exploring their hideaway, which, by the way, used to scare the shit out of me at 5 years old. But what I didn't know at the time, and what I'm finding myself doing now, is coming back to these movies in adulthood, especially when I'm going through hardships or just feel like life is getting mundane and distracting in all the most soulless ways possible. Ghibli movies have become this antidote to the hollowness in the way that they have managed to ground me in nature, the present moment, and have enhanced the imaginative lens that I now view the real world in. So, let's take a journey into exploring the world of Ghibli and why it is that these movies remain so timeless and important across all ages. In the midst of this huge technological age that we're in right now, I can't help but feel like media and art is improving so impressively, but is also starting to feel much more hollow and empty. I think we've all been exposed to those conversations about AI and have seen what it's been able to do and execute, and it's kinda scary how fast it's developing and improving. I usually like to remain positive about these topics and want to see the bright side of this expansive future that we're heading into, but I felt myself wanting to go back to the past a lot more recently and have been retreating in a kind of regressive way to nostalgia. So, what have I done to try to make sense of all of this and rectify my way of thinking? Well, I put on some Ghibli movies as part of that nostalgic desire, and was expecting to feel disappointed. I mean, surely these movies were made for kids, and there's not much for me to take away from these films anymore. After all, I'm a working adult now, and immersing myself in my imagination and grounding myself in the present moment and appreciating nature in a mystical and dreamlike way surely won't be the results I'll be getting from watching these movies, right? I was totally incorrect, and in fact, those were exactly the feelings and lessons I got from rewatching these films recently. And I suddenly remembered what life is kind of all about. Alright, so let's take a look at Howl's Moving Castle, right? And I mean, let's actually just look at it for a second. There has always been something that hits different about Ghibli clouds and the way they draw the sky that has impacted the way that I look at the sky forever. The way that clouds are drawn so puffily and white and dreamlike is just so lovely. And when rewatching and leaving my house, I would literally take a whole minute just to appreciate the sky. As an adult, I would even see a cloud in the distance and imagine there being a huge castle hidden in there, from a Ghibli movie that I'm sure you can guess the name of. Has anyone else felt this way before when looking at these shots in these movies? And this is the segue that I'm trying to get to when I say that these movies have mystified the way that I appreciate the natural world. I imagine the scene in Spirited Away a lot, where Chihiro is sitting at this mystical and beautiful train stop in the middle of the ocean, where the tracks go underwater just a little bit. And then the train leaves, with the blue sky in the background, and seeing this recently just totally filled my world with color again. And it's far from just this scene. The scene in Totoro comes to mind, where Mei and Satsuki are standing at the bus stop in the rain with the big goofy Totoro, totally reshaped the way I experience rain and those cozy, dark, rainy nights. Another scene in Totoro where they discover his magical natural grove that he sleeps in also added a comforting lens to the way that I view forests. Kiki flying into her new town with that town with an ocean view OST playing just makes me want to experience all the little joys in life that I take for granted, like a warm cup of coffee on a spring day. And that's exactly what I've been practicing recently. And what I'm gonna discuss now is probably the most important way Ghibli movies have converted my pessimism into optimism. Imagination, it impacts the way you view the present moment, along with making you realize what's truly important in life. It is so easy, and I've recently found out how easy it is, to let the material world and your ego rope you into distractions and pleasures, while shirking your loved ones and your compassion and empathy away. I've been feeling this way a lot recently, and I haven't been exactly proud of it. And I guess there's been this resistance within me to the idea of growing up. And I found myself thinking about Kiki's delivery service and her resistance in growing up as well. And to me, I think I've hit that moment where Gigi has stopped talking and can only meow. And then I realized that, like Kiki, I meant for more than just working like a boring adult and feeling sad about aging. I'm still a kid at heart, and have been bringing that love and compassion into the world in whatever way that I can as a result of learning this lesson. And it's not just the lessons from this movie. Chihiro, being afraid to go down the stairs, but having the courage to do it anyway. The importance of imagination and the wonderment of dreaming even as an adult is shown perfectly in the way that Tatsuo parents his daughters in Totoro. Stop working or scrolling your phone for a second. Go and take in the breathtaking skies and stars and trees and oceans and plains that this wondrous world begs you to take in. Relax in a steaming bath for a few hours. Slow down. This world is much more spiritual than you might realize. Ghibli films are nothing short of perfect. The wonderment and awe I feel from watching them genuinely makes me well up sometimes. They bring me to such a loving place, especially in those times when I feel very unloving and hollow. The art style and animation and colors always manages to give me this warm feeling inside. A feeling of knowing that everything is going to be okay. A feeling of the love of my inner child expressing his love and pride in all that I've done. A feeling of whimsy that makes me just want to throw my hat in the air for a day and just stare at the clouds. A feeling of profoundness and awe towards life, animals, nature, and loved ones. And to top it all off, I had the privilege of traveling to Japan recently and was curious if these feelings and appreciation for Ghibli would equate to the scenery that I would experience in that beautiful country. And, well, let's just say I'll let you be the judge of that.